So a main difference between my description of how oral contraceptive techniques work, which I'll go back and show you this picture. Whoops, went too far. Sorry. Oh, geez, that's terrible. Oh. My description based on this graphic of how birth control pills work and Planned Parenthood's description of how it worked is, you might have noticed they didn't say anything about thinning the uterine lining. We're going to notice throughout the discussion of hormonal methods that when groups that are trying to encourage the use of this method are conveying information about how the method works, they oftentimes will leave out the part where if the stopping of the ovulation fails and if the thickening of the cervical mucus fails, the final backup protection against pregnancy is that the uterine lining will not be hospitable to a fertilized egg. And the reason why they don't want to talk about that is because, as I've mentioned, there are people who have, strong objections to interfering with, a developing fertilized egg, right? They think that life begins at conception. And so to avoid that morass, Planned Parenthood and other sources that we're going to be looking at across this conversation of hormonal methods will really underplay the fact that, in fact, the uterine lining becomes inhospitable to a fertilized egg. So I'll show you some research on that in a little bit. All right. So the oral contraceptives come in a variety of different styles. The most common type of oral contraceptive is the combination pill, which provides a combination of progesterone and a little bit of estrogen. They have found over time that you only need a teeny tiny bit of estrogen present in the combination pill to, really inhibit ovulation and then also maintain, healthy, reproductive tract functioning and maintain a healthy libido and other kinds of things. So it's mostly progesterone with a teeny tiny bit of estrogen built in. Now, this picture illustrates different ways that the combination pill can be packaged, and this is a teeny tiny window of different ways that it can be packaged. The basic premise with all of them is that there are 3 weeks of active pills and 1 week of placebo pills. And so during the week of the placebos, which are just sugar pills, they're basically placeholders where no hormones are being added or anything, and that's going to trigger the onset of a menstrual period. So the most common way that hormonal birth control pills are dispensed are in these monthly packs, 3 weeks of active ingredients and 1 week of placebo. A lot of women like to have their monthly periods to remind them they are not pregnant, to reassure them that they're not pregnant. And so these are still the most popular packaging. Now, the mini pill is a progesterone only birth control pill. It's not as effective as the combination pill, but it's reserved for women who, for a variety of reasons, should not be taking any extra estrogen. Maybe they've got a family history of breast cancer or uterine cancer or a previous personal history of breast cancer. That the worry is adding any amount of estrogen could really feed the development of a cancer. So mini pills are rarely used. They're fairly uncommon, but they are an option to allow women to who are at risk to still use hormonal birth control. Now, seasonal is a new way of packaging the combination pill. And what you find is that you've got, 2 solid months of active pills, and then a third month with just 1 week of the placebo pills, so that quarterly you would have a menstrual cycle. So again, it's an opportunity to sort of reassure the user that she is not pregnant, which is always reassuring, and that everything's working fine. So you have this quarterly period. And basically, you're just taking the active ingredients that are in the combination pill every day, except for that 1 week every 3 months when a period would happen. So 12 weeks on, 1 week of placebo. Now, there's also a packaging called Liberal, which is a 365-day pill, which every single day you just take an active ingredient pill. You don't have any placebo pills in the package, and so there is no period. And a lot of women really like it. This advertisement is playing on that, right? Goodbye curse, goodbye Aunt Flo, goodbye monthly visit, right? Goodbye period. And so some women are like right on it. Look, women who have been active duty deployed or in other situations where having a period would be very difficult or messy or, well, it's always kind of messy, but I mean, in certain circumstances, it's very difficult. They are great candidates for a 365-day pill. Some people worry. I often have students in class ask me, well, is it healthy to not have your period for, 90 days or for 365 days, no periods? And there's no evidence that it's harmful to suppress menstruation. It's not a lot different from being pregnant in that way, right? Because women do not menstruate during pregnancy. And so it's not a lot different from that. But I have to say the 91-day pill came along in about 2005-ish. I probably should have prepared and known the actual number. 365-day pill came along about 3 years later. It was approved by the FDA. We don't have long story short, it doesn't matter exactly what year, but we don't have a lot of long-term data on women who have been taking the pill every single day for the past 20 years or something like that, or women who have taken the pill for, 90 days straight for years. We don't have any long-term, by definition, we don't have any long-term data on that. So we'll kind of find out in probably the next 20 years or so. So the effectiveness. So theoretically, oral contraceptives should almost perfectly prevent pregnancy. The theoretical use, taking into consideration, weight variations between women and, manufacturing errors and stuff, theoretically about 3 women out of 1,000 should end up pregnant within a year. But in actual use, about 8 women per 100 become pregnant within a year of use. So that really shows you that, it's really common to forget to take it, or other factors might be contributing to the contraceptives not being as effective as they should be. The correct use is to take one every day. And for those of you who are thinking, well, duh, I actually had a student a long time ago now, it's been probably 20 years, who stayed after class to ask me, about how her birth control pills always make her throw up. She goes, every time I take them, I throw up. And I'm like, every night? And she goes, oh no, just on Fridays. I'm like, so it's not every time you take them. It's only on Friday? And I'm trying to figure out something having to do with Friday that might be making her throw up rather than her birth control pills, when she said, oh no, I take all 7 on Friday. And I'm like, so those days of the week that are printed next to each of the pills in your package didn't give you a hint that you're supposed to take one every day? And she goes, well, I figured, what's the difference? And I said, well, for one thing, they make you throw up when you take 7 at one time. And number 2, you're not actually on the pill. You take the pills and then you throw them up and you're not on it. You have to take the pill every single day, and ideally take every pill at roughly the same time. So, if you have a good, reliable bedtime, that's a good time to take the pill. If you have a good, reliable time you get up every morning, that's a good time to take it. Or if you have a more variable schedule, maybe you tie it to a meal that you always eat at the same time, or right before you go to a particular class that starts at the same time of day, or something that you do at the same time of day every day, you use that as your cue to always take your pill. With modern times, you can use your phone to set a little alarm and tell you to take it, things like that. But that is thought to be the number one reason why there's failures of oral contraceptives, is that the pill was not taken daily, and or when it is taken daily, it's like 10 p.m. one day, 7 a.m. another day, midnight another day. And so you're getting more than 24 hours between pills sometimes. The advantages of the oral contraceptives is that they are easy, right? All you have to do is take a pill each day. They are very effective, especially if you are very diligent about taking them every day. You can stop at any time, and return to fertility. I am shocked afresh every time I hear people passing on the faulty information that it takes some amount of time after ending oral contraceptives before fertility will return. As soon as you stop taking your last pill, it will trigger your body to have a period. And then 2 weeks later, you will ovulate. That's what happens. It doesn't linger in your body and, give you an extra month of protection or something. It doesn't do anything like that. You pee it out immediately and your body returns to fertility. I can't tell you how many women have said that they thought they were going to have some kind of buffer time before they were going to get pregnant. So they decided to stop taking the pill because, okay, we're going to try. And then, oh my gosh, I got pregnant 2 weeks after I stopped taking the pill. It's like, well, that's what triggered ovulation. So yeah, you ovulated. So you can stop at any time, which is an advantage. Can also be a disadvantage. Of the hormonal methods, it does have the minimal risk, because one of the things that's great about having an oral contraceptive is that if you start to have any kinds of symptoms, let's say headaches or a blood clot or something like that, you just stop taking it. And, you can return back to your pre-pill hormonal levels very quickly. For some women, it can actually reduce different kinds of cancer. So it really, matters what kind of cancer we're talking about. So it can reduce cancer. Disadvantages, the most common complaint women report to their doctor is breast tenderness. And the second is that they've got decreased libido. They don't really feel like having sex now that they're on the pill. The breast tenderness is a side effect of the fact that birth control pills are comprised of progesterone, which makes the body think that it's getting ready for pregnancy all the time. So the breast tissue may be experiencing that kind of just like perpetual swelling. The decreased libido may have, again, to do with progesterone, and it may be, idiosyncratic. And so a lot of women are embarrassed to say anything to their doctor about that decreased libido, but it's important to tell the doctor, because there are so many different formulations of birth control pills these days that if one is causing decreased libido, you can be placed onto a different type. And I mean, after all, isn't that the point of oral contraceptives, is to make it possible to have sex and not get pregnant? You don't want your birth control pill to be effective only because you're actually not even wanting to have sex. Like, that's not the point. Now, it can increase cancer risk in certain kinds of cancer, and especially in certain kinds of women. They have found that it seems to have its biggest negative effect if the tumor was already present. The birth control pill will sort of fuel it and cause it to grow faster, especially with regard to breast cancer. Whereas if it's not present, it doesn't seem to have much impact on the development of cancer. It does come with a risk of blood clots, especially in women who are over 35, and or women who smoke, and or women who have a BMI over 30. So if you have, let's say, all of those in combination, the risk of a blood clot is really high. If you have two of those, that, you're going to have a very elevated risk. If you have only one of those, it can be an elevated risk. I had a student back when the first year I ever taught this class, so 1992, who was, I believe she was 20. She was young. She did not smoke. She was not at all overweight. And she developed a blood clot in her calf like 1 month after beginning oral contraceptives. And luckily she was taking my class and had just heard the things that she needed to watch out for. And so when she got swelling in her calf and felt warmness, she went to the doctor and said, I just started taking birth control pills. And they were like, okay, stop right now. And they were able to deal with the clot very easily. But, a lot of times people hear that list of the riskiest conditions for blood clots and they think, oh, well, I don't have any of those. She didn't have any of those and she still developed one. So you definitely want to watch for any kinds of symptoms. And then the other thing that we're going to find with all the hormonal methods is that they don't do anything about sexually transmitted infections. And so the only thing we're dealing with these methods is preventing pregnancy. All right, now let's move to the next endurance of delivery of the hormonal molecules, and that would be the contraceptive patch. So this patch, the picture is showing you the different places that you can place it on your body. And I thought I had a list of how it works. You leave it on for 3 weeks, you take it off and a period will arrive, or you leave it on for 3 weeks and then immediately replace it if you don't want to have a period. And it just slowly releases the hormones across, it's transdermal, they're called. So the hormones cross the skin. There's actually little tiny micro perforations that occur that allow access to the bloodstream. And that's how the hormones get into the body. So the effectiveness, theoretically, same exact as the pill, right? The theoretical and the actual use, there are errors that are present. And so the correct use is to apply the patch, wear it for 3 weeks, and then take it off for 1 week for a period. Or you can 3 weeks, and then put a new one on, 3 weeks, put a new one on. The advantage is it's even easier than the pill because you don't have to take a pill every day, right? So you just have to deal with the patch, every 3 weeks. It's got all the same advantages that the pill would have. And in addition to having the same disadvantages as the pill, it has the added disadvantage of it can cause a rash on some people. Some women find that the adhesive on it is causing redness, itching. Some get really bad hives, things like that. And so it doesn't work for everybody because of skin reactions. How about sort of a similar length of time, but a different way of delivering it? This would be the contraceptive ring, the brand name being NuvaRing. In this method, you have this ring that the consistency is like kind of like cartilage almost, and it's impregnated with the hormones that are going to be delivered. And it's just an open ring. And so you squeeze it together, insert it into the vagina, and you put it up there. I was going to say shove it, but that doesn't sound very nice. As high up into the vagina as you can. And that lower 1/3 of the vagina being muscular is going to keep it from just falling out. So you put it up into the vagina, and then it is secreting those hormones, and those are going to be absorbed through the mucus layer of the vagina. So effectiveness, it's a little less effective than the patch or the pill. In actual use, it's 9% of women who will become pregnant within a year. The correct use is that you're supposed to insert the ring. I put wear. I'm not sure if wear is the right word for having something inserted inside of you. But you leave it in there for 3 weeks. Take it out for a week for a period, then insert a new one. Or you can go ahead and wear it for 4 weeks and then insert a new one, and you won't have any periods. So see how with the NuvaRing, you get 4 weeks of wear as opposed to the contraceptive patch. You're supposed to change it after every 3 weeks if you're going to go for the no period method. So the advantage of this method is that it's even easier. Nobody can see it on your outside like you can with the contraceptive patch. So, while you have sort of that same amount of set it and forget it time, 3 weeks or 4 weeks in between, you have this added advantage of it's not visible, things like that. It has all the other same advantages as the pill and the patch. And then it has the added disadvantage, all the same as the pill and the patch. Some people have skin reactions, internal skin reactions to the NuvaRing. So when I say same as the patch, I mean same kind of allergy kinds of responses. But what I wanted to throw in here is that it can come out during coitus. You don't have to leave it in during coitus, but some women do, and then they report that it gets swept out with their partner's penis. And I actually had a student who, when I said that, she said, "Oh my gosh, that happened to me and my boyfriend, and his penis looked like it was wearing a hat afterwards." And pretty funny. But the thing is, you would need to notice that that's happened, right? And put it back in. So a lot of doctors recommend to their patients who are using this method to actually just remove it during coitus and then reinsert it afterwards, right? So that you don't accidentally lose it. So that higher actual use error rate might be attributable to the fact that a woman might think that her NuvaRing is still in place, and it actually is not, right? It may have come out with a penis, or it might have come out during pushing during a bowel movement. So again, you can remove it during those kinds of toilet activities and things like that, so that you don't have to it does not have to be in every single second of the day. It just needs to be in there most of the time, right? So you want to make sure that you take it out and put it back in rather than lose it. All right. So the next topic is Depo-Provera. Some people call it the shot. So queued up in your playlist is this Planned Parenthood piece on how it works and some of its side effects.